Hey, how's it going? Welcome to the Recap Book Edition. My name is Jose Altamirano, and today we're going to be talking about how to win friends and influence on people. This is the first week out of the reading challenge that we have of one book a month. So stick around, watch the whole video, share if you like what you hear here. If you haven't subscribed, do so that way you can go ahead and get the weekly updates and we can finish this book in a month. It is totally possible. All right, so let's get to it. Like I said, we are reading How to Win Friends and Influence of People. This is going to be the first book out of many, I hope, that we get to share here in the Recap Book Edition. And if you haven't watched the first episode yet, I recommend that you go ahead and watch that as well, because in there we gave you some tips to improve your reading. And one of those tips, it was to get your reading, the reading equation, which was the number of pages of the book divided by the number of days in which you want to read that book. So we did this. It's 260 pages for this book, 30 days. That brings it down to 8.6 pages a day. Let's go ahead and run it up to 9 pages every day. So that puts us at about 63 pages in this week. And we went ahead and did that every day, reading those 9 pages, finding exactly, those little times to go ahead and get those pages in. And we got this great opportunity to get great knowledge from this book. So let's get started here. It's an amazing book to begin with because, don't we all want more friends? Don't we all want, have better relationship with our loved ones? And honestly, a lot of times we don't know how to do that. We are somehow expected to just know that. Honestly, a lot of things here, I was going against what they were saying without even knowing, So this is a great opportunity to improve our ability to make those friends. So starting off in chapter 1, it blows my mind. The first principle he talks about, he breaks it down in 3 principles. And the first part of the book says fundamental techniques in handling people. And the first one he says is don't criticize, condemn, or complain. And that right there, my friends, stops us short. At least personally, it did. Because one of the things we are used to in our society today is complaining, criticizing, and condemning. There's companies where literally all they do is take care of complaints. And we are so quick at looking at a video and criticizing, oh, this is dumb, or this is, it's not worth it. But the thing is that when you do that, you hurt, the pride of other people. For example, if you have a relationship and you have your loved one, and the first thing they're telling you about their idea of what they want to do with the house or whatever, and you go ahead and you say, oh, well, that's dumb. Well, how are they going to feel? Are they going to be like, oh man, you're right, absolutely. That is dumb. I'm a dumb person. Let me go ahead and follow what you want. No, most likely they're going to be resenting you. And then maybe they won't tell you, but slowly that start building up. They start, going and looking at you maybe, and you're like, yeah, I'm not going to listen to you. So what he says is, he points out that even the most, notorious criminals, they end up never blaming themselves. They usually have a justification why they were quick on the trigger, like he says, And it makes you understand that if criminals like Al Capone, Tugon Crawley, or the people in the prison of Sing Sing don't blame themselves, what about us? What about our common man? What about our neighbors, our friends, our girlfriends, our wives? Do they blame themselves for what they do? Most likely not. And that really got me thinking because, sometimes we're real quick to criticize and judge people. So he says to not do that because honestly, it's going to have a consequence. And that consequence is going to be, we're not going to make that, much of an influence on people. So question is, do you really want to influence people? Do you really want to have a good relationship with people? Or you want them to do something because, you tell them to? At the end of the day, what's going to give you a better time at your house and your relationship? So that takes us to second chapter, which is give honest and sincere appreciation. That's really hard sometimes when you are criticizing. We bring that a little bit into the first part, into the first chapter where he says don't criticize. Yeah, if you're criticizing, it's going to be hard for you to be able to say, hey, you know what, you're actually doing a good job here. It's going to be hard if you're judging, if you're condemning, if you're jumping to conclusions. And I think a lot of times we end up criticizing or condemning because we also are looking for a feeling of importance, and that's literally what he says in there, that a lot of times people do the things they do because of a feeling of importance. And the difference between people, it's not if they get that feeling of importance or not, it's where they get it from. He talks about how some people donate money to get a feeling of importance. And the truth is, sometimes we criticize others to feel important ourselves. I remember one time there was we're talking. This is really kind of like a funny story because I had never heard about the Beatles until I was like maybe like 18 or 19. I grew up in Mexico. They were not my type of music back then. And then one day a friend of mine says, "Oh, the Beatles are overrated." Now I respected my friend, right? I really admire his taste in music. So he said that. I said, "Okay." I never bothered to go back and listen to them or make my own conclusion. I just went ahead and I said, "Oh, well, if my friend thinks they're overrated, then I guess they are." And then sometime in the future, I go up and somebody tells me, "Hey, what do you think about the Beatles?" And I said, "Well, they're overrated," right? And honestly, I didn't even know better, just because someone else said it, and I wanted to feel important, like I knew, right? And I criticized them without even knowing who they are. And one day, believe it or not, my friend invites me to do this open mic, and he picks a song from the Beatles. I didn't know it was the Beatles, right? He says, "Hey, check out this song," and I was like, "Man, this song is amazing." He goes, "Yeah, that's the Beatles," and I felt like, wow, I jumped to conclusions. I criticized right away rather than actually, listening to what their music was. But how many times do we just go out there and immediately criticize, immediately go and condemn people without taking the time to, give honest and sincere appreciation and take a minute to appreciate what they have to share? To take a minute and say, "Hey, okay, let's see what it is that you're presenting here." And one of the things here is not just appreciation. Sometimes we think it's like a good compliment, but he says not just flattery. It's not just straight out like just saying, "Oh, yeah, I like your shirt," but it's more like appreciation, like showing them that you care about them. Because as we said in the first video, you only have time for the things that you actually care about. And one of the things is, if you don't care about people, you won't dedicate your time to them. So, and this is all tying up. It started to make sense in my head once I started reading this and taking me to the third point, which was, become genuinely interested in others. That was the third chapter where he says you have to become genuinely interested in others. And those three concepts made me think about, okay, how can I wrap my head around this? Well, it actually turns out that if you're genuinely interested in other people and you appreciate them and you show them your appreciation by listening to them, by actually caring about what they have to say, by actually caring about what their opinions are, and you don't jump to conclusions and criticize them right away, and then you actually look at them and say, "Okay, how can I help you, get your feeling of importance?" So what he's trying to say here is that if we are actually interested in people, to have better relationships, not just to sell them. I'm not saying this is like for you to sell them a car or whatever, but if you're really interested in your fellow man, if you want to have better relationships and make a lot of friends and have an influence on people, you have to stop just thinking about yourself and your point of view, and you actually have to listen to other people. You have to actually care about other people and make sure that you are getting their point of view. There was a part in there that says that if there's any secret to success, it lies in the ability to get the other person's point of view and see things from the person's angle as well as our own. So how can you and I win out of this situation? Rather than, "Oh, I want to win from you," how can you and I win together? And that is a great change in attitude. That is an amazing change in attitude, because honestly, a lot of times we're just thinking about ourselves. But how do you get that? We're like, "Whoa, how do I know what they want?" By going to the second chapter, right? It says, actually show appreciation. Give them your time. Give them those extra 10 minutes of your time and ask them, "Oh, you like, psychology, or you like astrology. Why do you like that?" And actually listening. I remember somebody once told me, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that you can listen twice as much as you talk. Now, that is a really hard thing to do when you're someone like me who likes to talk a lot. But that encourages me to go, okay, what do you have to share? And how can I help you? Because at the end of the day, we care about what people have to say when we realize how much they care about us. So a lot of times, rather than going out directly and trying to push our ideas through, how about listening to them? There's another book somewhere out there, and we're going to read one day. It's going to be called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And he says there, seek to understand before being understood. And that's what he's inviting you to do here too. Listen to them, because if you're genuinely interested in people, in the other person, then you're going to give them that extra time to talk. You're going to give them that extra time, that appreciation of your time, of your interest. Because once again, if you're not interested in them, you're not going to dedicate them that much time. If you're interested about yourself and not about other people, then, you're going to end up with the one person you like, which is yourself, and that's called alone. So how do you make better relationships? By actually listening to people, caring about them, and not criticizing right away. Sometimes you're going to have to say, you're going to be like, okay, have you noticed that this is a mistake you're making? Have you considered this? And perhaps if they see that you actually care about them, they're not going to take it like, oh, you're trying to reprimand me. Maybe, perhaps I hadn't seen that. Maybe they hadn't, and your input helped them. But you're trying to help them, not as much as I want to put my point across, because I want to get my feeling of importance out of you. Because we're all trying to, feel important in life. We're all trying to make, somehow our lives better. But if you're making your life better, if you're getting your feeling of importance by making other people feel bad, that's going to drive you to become alone, because no one's going to want to be around you. Why should you get your feeling of importance out of my expense? It's so much easier to think about it that way, and you go, well, why am I criticizing someone? Am I doing it because I really care about them? Or is it because I want to prove them who's right? Or I want to show them how smart I am? I hear a lot of people having problems with their parents, and I was thinking about, when I was reading this, I was thinking, what if your parents, for example, were to not criticize you? First of all, you have some idea, or you have some project, or you're trying to, have some confusion in your life that you're not sure how to deal with it, right? And you go up to your parents and you tell, hey, dad, hey, mom, can I ask you this? Or let me tell you this. And before your parents start judging you, like many times parents do, they say, okay, let me hear you out. What do you have? And they actually stop what they're doing, and they show you appreciation by sitting down with you. Hey, let's go get a cup of coffee. I can go ahead and hear you out, and sit down across the table from you and actually pay attention to you and show interest in you. Not be on their phone or anything, but actually be like, okay, tell me. So what's the problem? Oh, it's this and this. Oh, wow. Okay, let me see this. Did you consider this? Did you consider that? And at the end, he goes, okay, what can I do to help you? How would that change your relationship with him? That would be amazing, right? Unfortunately, we can't control what your parents do. And perhaps maybe you can share this video to them if you're in that situation, or with someone that you would improve your relationship with. But you can do something about yourself. We can do that. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be easy, okay? This is the hardest thing to do sometimes. For example, for me to be quiet and listen, it's really hard. But the point is, if it's important in my life, you want to have better relationships, if there's maybe a life partner I want to spend my life with, then I have to do the things that are not necessarily that are easy, but the things that are important, right? And if it's important for me, I'm going to put the effort. So with that said, that took us, fundamentalist says the fundamental techniques of handling people is: don't criticize, don't condemn, and don't complain. Give honest and sincere appreciation. Arouse in others the eager want. And how do you do that? By finding what is that they want and helping them achieve that with whatever it is that you have, either your friendship, your product, your service, So that is the 3 first chapters of this book, which were amazing. So then we go to part 2 of the book. It says 6 ways to make people like you. And he reinforces what he said on the last chapter, which was, you can make more friends in 2 months by becoming genuinely interested in other people than you can in 2 years by trying to make people interested in you. And I think that is, now I see it and I'm like, well, yeah. But a lot of times, how many times we go out there trying to hey, I'm this great and I do this and I do that. And people are like, well, that's good for you. But what about me? So if maybe, like I said, we can try to stop ourselves from trying to show off and get our feeling of importance out of the expenses of others, and we actually say, okay, well, what do you do? And it requires a lot, especially if you have a low self-esteem. Sometimes that's a tough thing to do because, well, it requires you to give the microphone to someone else. For example, for me, I need attention, a lot of attention when I was growing up. And if I need attention and then you need attention, well, I'm not going to give you the microphone. I got to tell you what I want and what I am and what are my interests, because I need to get you to like me. But this book says, hey, you know what? Give them the microphone. And it's true. I'm amazed. I actually, the other day, I was having a conversation with someone. I said nothing. All I did was sit down and listen because I read just that part. And that person was like, hey, you know what? We should meet again. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, for sure. Now, eventually, we're going to start exchanging ideas and stuff. But you have to listen. Yeah, and I truly believe that as well. He does make a big important point about being sincere, though, okay? He does not He says don't just fake it for the sake of faking it. Maybe at first you're gonna have to fake some stuff in the sense of like force yourself to do it, but in the end, it is you genuinely wanting to become a better, friend, and by becoming that, a better listener, become more understanding of others, genuinely wanting to improve, And also in there, it says that chapter 2 goes directly into have a smile in your face, be happy, and this really drove in for me, okay, because this is something I came to believe. I didn't know this at first, okay. When I was like 15, 18, I did not even had a clue this was something, actual. When people said that everybody in the world is seeking for happiness, and there is one sure way to find it. That is by controlling your thoughts. Happiness does not depend on outward conditions. It depends on inner conditions. Meaning, you have to make yourself happy and not wait for the world to change in order for you to be happy. And that's tough. It is, because most of the times, you date someone and you get married and you're expecting them to make you happy. And then it doesn't happen because they are probably having their problems too, and they are expecting you to make them happy, and then now you have two people expecting each other to make them happy. No one's happy. He encourages you to be happy, to be a happy person. And I didn't get more notes in there because that's for next week. So if you like what you saw here today, stick around, subscribe, go ahead and get your book, your copy of this book. It's an amazing book. I highly recommend it. And just go ahead and do a little recap once again of everything we have read today. So first of all, change your attitude on people. Have an honest desire to become a better person and become a better friend and become a better human in general. And we must want to have a better relationship with people. Okay, we actually have to. If you don't care, if you're okay being alone, then that's actually fine as well. Just the consequence will be, well, you won't have many friends. You won't have long-lasting relationships. And be willing to change. A lot of times we want the world to change for us. We want everyone else out there to do the things that we want them to do. But it takes us. Because once again, like the whole story with like the parents, you can't change them. Maybe listen to them and see why they are the way they are. Because everybody has a reason to be the way they are. No one is like that for free. We have all gone through lives, and our experiences and our a little bit of our chemistry in our brain has made us the way we are. But we can learn to be better. Okay, we may not be perfect, but we can perfect ourselves every single day. Okay, and also understand and accept human nature, which is pretty much what I just said right now. Become aware that we are humans and that we're not creatures of logic. As much as we like to show off that we think and we're rational, we're Homo sapiens, but the truth is that we're still, in a way, animals who have emotions, and sometimes those emotions overpower our logic. Actually, a lot of times, So let's understand that, and let's understand that we're dealing with people who have emotions, they have traumas in their past, and they have gone through a lot of stuff. So rather than going and criticizing them and telling them what we think is right, how about we go ahead and understand? I think it would be a better world for all of us if we can all just sit down and understand that we all have problems and we're all trying to get by. And rather than making someone else's existence horrible or more, stressful, how about they come to us and they're like, oh man, whenever I meet such and such person, I feel good because, that person gives me that appreciation. It's almost impossible for them not to come back to you, right? So this book is amazing in that sense. It makes you understand that sometimes you gotta go ahead and look at life that way. I think those are actually all the tips right there that I got so far out of it. And that means we're going to be walking into week number 2 of this book. We're going to be reading another 63 pages, about 63, 62 pages. And that puts us at page 126. Okay, so we're going to be reading this much this week. That's 9 pages every single day. Find the time. Don't romanticize it. Don't expect to find a coffee shop with a coffee table there and you're going to sit there for 3 hours. No, 9 pages. Everywhere you go, bring the book with you. If you have the book, you'll read it. So go ahead and get yourself a copy. This is an amazing book. Once again, How to Win Friends and Influence on People. We're going into week number 2. Let's get this thing moving because we are going to finish a book a month. Can you imagine a year from now, you and I have finished 12 books, and that way we can become better people. Just today, man, so many things in today's episode made me realize, I gotta become better. I gotta listen more. I gotta show more appreciation. And rather than immediately trying to push my idea through, how about I listen, and I pay attention to what you gotta say. I think that's gonna be a lot more. And therefore, leave your comments below. Leave your comments below. Share this video with other people. Let's get more people in here so we can inspire them to get a book in their hands. Because one of the things he said in the introduction there, it says, education is not to acquire knowledge. It is to ferment action. So imagine if we can have a society of people who are, looking forward to helping other people, and becoming that change that we need. So with all that, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. Let's go ahead and, like I said, get the book, and let's make this a great week. 9 pages every day. I will see you. If you get the book, go ahead and put your comment down below. If you already have read it, what do you think about these first pages? Go ahead and share it, and I will see you next week. All right? Take care. Bye-bye.